Welcome to Season 6 of Paper Talk,
where we talk about tips and tricks on navigating and building your small creative business.
I'm Quynh of Pink and Mosey.
I'm Jessie Chu of Crafted to Bloom.
And I'm Sarah Kim of Handmade by Sarah Kim.
In Season 6, we'll be sharing our experiences and insights on running a small creative business, from managing finances to building your brand.
We'll also be interviewing other small business owners and experts in the field to get their perspectives and advice.
So join us as we dive into the world of small creative businesses and help you take it to the next level. Happy New Year! Welcome to 2024. Thank you so much for joining and kicking off your year with us. Today, Sarah and I are going to be talking about, I don't know if we want to say it's New Year resolution, but we want to start out with the right foot on how we're going to make this year the best that we can do, because things are already happening, but we just want to make sure that it's the best that one can make it with what you have. Happy New Year, Sarah!
Happy New Year.
Sarah, what is happening in your life in 2024?
I have some personal ones and then I have some business. Like for my business, I want to say I'm always trying to work at my YouTube, my Instagram, just continuing to grow. I want to say like last year, my YouTube channel actually did help with my revenue like the most. So I do want to continue to invest my time into the things that I feel with the analytics, like I want to actually like work on what is working, like studying that stuff, like on the back end of my website. I want to say, yeah, YouTube, Pinterest is one of my strong forms. So I guess ultimately that's what I need to like just wherever that is. It's so hard because it's not like I have this real goal. It's just, I just need to keep doing the same thing on those two platforms. But personally, one of my goals is just to read more books. My husband's like really into reading books, but I get it. It's actually one of the things for me is like being on Paper Talk. Like it's really funny because I'm really not a good talker. I think I could teach like how to make paper flowers only because I've been doing it for so long and you only need a certain amount of words to really teach a flower. In my head, I'm like, cut 2 inches, cut a leaf shape or whatever. But like on Paper Talk, I could tell like I have really bad vocabulary. Like I don't have a lot of words to express what I'm going through. And I think one of the things is because I'm just home all day in silence, just making my flower and not talking to anybody. Like I talk to you like the most. Yeah, I talk to you the most out of anybody I know. Like I don't even talk to my husband. He's talking to me because he's the extrovert. So he was like, you need to read more books. I was like, okay, fine. And I haven't read a book since like college. I actually have 3 books sitting on my nightstand. One is called The Midnight Library, and I've been actually trying to tackle that. I say tackle because I'm sorry, I'm just not a reader. Like I make paper flowers.
Do you listen to audio yet? Because the audio version is great.
Yes. And I don't mind the audio version, like when I'm walking and stuff, but I think there is something where I should read. I should read books. Yes. I think it's a good goal for myself. It's new. Yeah. And you know how much I love doing like new things. I don't know, like just randomly. I do like learning. Where it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like learning how to read a book, but I'm going to learn and I'm going to do it.
I love that so much. If you need any book recommendations, let me know.
Really? Wait, I always ask for it. And I actually recently posted it on my Instagram saying like, I've been reading, I've been trying, so give me some book recommendations. Yes. But yeah, I have actually a handful that I collected that I'm interested in. So I'll be working on that. I guess that's my personal New Year resolution, kind of New Year goal.
Yes.
And then for my business, it really is just continuing with the things that are working. And I know you have so much of a more exciting year than I do, but I feel like for me, I really don't have anything. So I'm scared. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of things planned out yet. So I'm a little scared. Yeah. I mean, I guess like the small goals is just being consistent with the things that are working. And I have a couple new flowers that I really want to tackle.
Yay.
And I want to say, I think one of them was the foxglove. Those before.
Yes, you're going to love that. They're so super fun.
And I feel like I've made stuff that are similar, like stock flowers or like the lily of the valleys. Like they kind of that in flower look, mini flowers.
Yeah.
So I think I'm excited for something like that. And remember that episode where I mentioned that I started making birds or I made a bird recently?
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to like revisit that. yeah, I wanted that and maybe try some, because I have seen paper artists where they make, you've made like butterflies. I want to try maybe butterflies, maybe birds. Yeah. And hopefully that's like kind of the list of my new year. Yeah. What about you? And I know you have your book coming up. You're going to be so busy this year.
I know. So I would say the first 3 months, I need to really focus on the book because my deadline's coming up. It's end of March and I need to schedule in a photo shoot just to do the different larger projects that's going to be going in there and get some models in because I want to do like a handheld bouquet. I want to do a large installation and just talk about different mechanics that I feel like we haven't really talked about. There is paper flower mechanic for arranging things and putting things together. So I want to definitely add that to the book. So that related. And it's going to be a super tight, crazy first 3 months because in January, I'm doing a presentation on ChatGPT. I feel like with the 1 year that I've been working with it, documentation it, just trying to see how a creative can actually use it because it's quite different from a business perspective. How can you use it? Break it down so it's really simple, easy step by step, and prompts because ChatGPT is all about how can you ask the correct question so it can work better for you? And how can you guide that AI to make it sound like you? So if you're writing a newsletter, if you're writing a social media post, if you're doing these monotonous day-to-day things that you get really tired of, how can you get someone else that has your mindset and your voice to be able to mimic what you're doing? So consider AI like a team member, like you're giving them directions on what you want it to do, and they will take that and run with it, and they'll spit you whatever they need to spit at you. And then you take it and you have to tell it to make changes. And the cool thing is AI will remember it, which is fantastic. So I'll be doing a talk with that. In April, I'm actually going to be doing a presentation with Camp Thundercraft on how to be a great podcast guest. What do you need to be? How do you get on a podcast? How do you promote that podcast? How do you sound great? And how do you get them to re-invite you later down the road? Because in Paper Talk, we actually had repeat guests. And why do we have them? Because they give great information. They sound great. They're easy to work with and they promote, which is what you want. And so that's some of the things that I'll be talking about. And then the other big project that's coming up is, so you're venturing in birds and other things. I'm going to be venturing into food realm. So I actually got approached by South Center Mall to create a dumpling art installation.
Oh, how cute. I've actually made a couple like paper art or food related things.
Yes.
They're so much more fun.
I know. I'm really excited. Yes. So I'll be making like the ham bao or the bun bao, as we call it in Vietnamese. I'll be making like all the shumai and the soup dumplings and the gozas and things like that. So I'm really excited. And they're not your regular mini size because it is an art installation. It's going to be much larger, probably a foot to maybe 2 or 3 foot in diameter. So it'll be super fun. And I've actually contacted my friend Tim. He's going to be making the steam basket, like a 6-foot steam basket, which I'm so excited.
Oh, cool.
And people can actually stand behind the steam basket and take a picture. And it's going to be next to Din Tai Fung, which I think is going to be so amazing.
Are you thinking about doing it out of paper, like the food items?
Yes, paper and some other mediums that I've been exploring in the back of my head.
Okay.
And I was telling my publisher about this and I was like, oh, that could be your next book, how to do food. I was like, what? Let's get this first book done first.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited. I think that would be super fun to be able to show people how to do that. So I know Yang of Shanghai 1984, she's done dumplings and things like that and fruits, which is her fruits are amazing. It makes me really want to get what do you call those the air spray paint?
Oh, like
airbrush.
Yeah, airbrush.
I think that will really elevate everything, just adding those dimension pieces together. So I'm excited to add that to my tool gadget of how to elevate your art.
That's cute. You can also just maybe do spray paint. You'll have to buy so many different shades, but that would actually be really cool. I've seen an artist where they used an airbrush like machine, but they'll put whatever their paint and then mix it up kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. That's going to be super fun. And then I think my biggest workshop that I have planned for this year is going to be the Garden Rose workshop. So we're calling it Rosé and Roses. I'm having my local winery. And so her winery is called Address Winery. And she makes this beautiful rosé wine that is just going to be just beautiful. And then I have this pie lady. It's Pie Bird work. And she is going to be creating a special pie for my students. So she's doing, we talked about it, and she's doing, her apple pie is delicious. So she's going to be doing a rose apple pie, which I think is going to be amazing. I also want to convince her if we could do, instead of a pie, do her hand pie, which her hand pies are so good. So I'm hoping that will be the case. And Mike from Cart Finney will be there too, which I'm really excited. Kai Scissors will be there. I'm hoping Aline Glue will be there too. I need to reach out to all these vendors and see if they will help sponsor in this, which I think is super exciting. And then I'm also working with Wayola with Jesse and Carol, and we're going to be pushing out the single color doublet. I'm so excited. A beautiful array of colors that we're hoping to launch this spring. So I'm hoping to have both Carol and Jesse back on later this early spring. We're going to be talking about the color lines, talking about how we got these connections and how this whole project came about, which is going to be so much fun. We can't wait for you to get this doublet in your hand because it's beautiful colors that we hash back and forth. And we feel like we've produced this line of color that's really unique and needed, because there's colors that I feel like Wayola is missing, which Carnitecnia Rossi has really hit it out of the park with all the different color weights and color line. And we're hoping this will fill a gap that we haven't seen yet. Yeah. And a whole bunch of workshops later this year to promote the book. And hopefully I'll add teaching around the United States and also specifically in Seattle. So I'm really excited about that.
I have some workshops happening too. So hopefully it'll be, I feel like workshops are picking back up. So it's good to see. I feel like since the pandemic, it's been just, but then now I feel like people are willing to go back out and learn things. Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. Yeah. And then I'm trying to think, like, I really don't have a New Year resolution. It's more like there's things that needs to happen and I need to maintain. And like you mentioned, just improve what I have and just make sure that what I'm doing is just the best that I can do. And with all the different budget planners, making sure that everything's listed out and making sure that you don't miss something. And I think when you have so many different projects, you definitely need documentation, and just having a to-do list that's well organized, that's easy to refine and to refer to will be your saving grace for the year as you're working on different things.
Like, where do you put your to-do list? Do you have any tips on that?
So I'm definitely an Apple person. I have an iPhone. I have a MacBook. And I love using Google. That's one of my main things, is having Google Docs to put all the different things on there. But notes on your phone, as you're writing the to-do list, it all syncs together. So you can easily find it, refer it, you can put it in your favorite, and that way it's easy to pop up, and you can put reminders, and it syncs up with the calendar. So your deadlines are synced in so that you're not missing everything, which is important.
I use the Notes app too, but the problem is I write it like over, and now I have this giant long list of notes, and they were just to-do lists, but like I realized like I didn't finish it. So I like rewrite a couple days later. I'm like, oh, don't forget to do this. Yes. And then the list just got longer and I don't know how to go back and erase.
Okay. So I also fell into the rabbit hole too. I would say either when you're doing all these notes, have your calendar app. So have your laptop and your phone together. That way you can start syncing things. Assigned it. Yes. Put due date. Because these are all to-do lists that needs to happen at a certain time. Putting yourself due dates and reminders and alert and you can cross it out as you go through. And as you're crossing it out, you're like, okay, there's a due date attached to it. And I make sure my notes has that. So it's like when I'm going through the list, oh yeah, that date is coming out. So that I'm not too surprised when the alert comes up. It's like, oh, it's due. And if it's an important thing that's happening, I will actually backtrack it and says, hey, in 4 days, this thing is due. Have you started on it? It's got like little thing that says, hey, make sure you start on it today and you have 2 more days left, or it's due tomorrow. Have you done it yet? But I feel like I don't have to do it so much now because I do have a guilty conscience, and that nags at me like, Quynh, you need to make it happen. And I feel like with COVID, I used to be such a huge planner. Like I would write everything down on paper form. And then in the past, I've been trying to use, this is weird to say as a paper artist, I've been trying to use less paper And so I've been trying to go more electronic and do electronic planner, but for some reason it's not sinking into me as much. And so I haven't gone back to a paper planner, but I haven't used my electronic planner as much, but I've been using the notes and my calendar as in between. But in the bad habit, I'm also logging things in the back of my head, reminding myself to do certain things, which is good and bad because I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that. But then what if I forget? But then I try not to forget. So it's like this weird circle that goes back and forth.
I'm actually a paper and pencil person. So I do have a bunch of different planners and journals of where I write things to remind myself. And I use my phone and the notes app and the calendar.
Yes.
And I still forget. It's just always, yeah. But I think I'm with you on trying to go electronic. So I am in that middle, but there is something about just writing it down on a piece of paper just feels more like I'm going to do it.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm always trying to figure out what's the next good way to have a to-do list. But yeah,
it's hard. It's so hard.
It is hard. Yeah. And I just feel like I have there's certain things that don't really have a due date in my notes app, not being done. So I don't I don't know if you do this, but if I do have an idea of wanting to make a new flower, or like I had mentioned, I wanted to tackle some birds or butterflies, I write that on my notes app, but then it's just sitting on there. I don't and then a week later, I'm like, don't forget, Sarah, I need to experiment some birds and butterflies. And then it just has this really long app, or notes folder, I guess. Yeah, we got to get on that. But actually, speaking of just notebooks and stuff like that, I just got a notebook that was guided for gratitude, and just being in the whole New Year mood, I did want to get it and write down what I'm thankful for. I know it's a cheesy thing to start with for the new year, but I think I always say I'm going to do it and then I never do. So I literally got a notebook that's meant for my gratitude book, and it's so guided. Yeah. And it's guided. So it will literally be morning, what am I looking forward to? At night, what were you grateful for in this day? Yeah. So hopefully I'll be on it. Yeah.
It's a habit. They say it takes 30 days to form a habit, but it's so easy to fall off the bandwagon and then hard to get back on again. I feel like that's exercising. I feel like that's one thing I'm trying to do is go to the gym regularly, but I feel like there's so many, it should be a high priority, but I feel like the book has become such a huge thing that it's in my head, of course, this is my one opportunity. Who knows if I'm going to have this again if my book doesn't do well. So I've got to make sure that the book is a high priority, but I know that I need to make myself a high priority to be able to take care of myself, to be able to do all these different things. So there's this weird cycle back and forth. Oh, but I have to get this done. And because the lighting I know is so important, because in Seattle, it's very gray and we have so much limited light. And I found that it's usually between 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. is where I can photograph everything and get good lighting and consistent lighting. So it's been rough. And the thing is, in the morning, I try to get all the pieces done so I can get it photographed. But then after you photograph, you have to edit everything. There's a whole cycle of once you edit things, then you have to name all the photos and then you have to see where it fits. Did you take the right photos? Did you prep enough in the morning time to be able to get the shot that you wanted? And did the shot turn out as well as you thought it did? Because sometimes when you're looking through the camera lens, it looks in focus, but when you look on your computer, it's not as focused as you thought it would be. I also blame that to old age. I'm actually turning 50 this year and I need reading glasses. And so things that are up close and personal, I'm it's blurry.
Yeah, it's so hard. And just because with the whole extra text stuff, I feel like they make it blurry. I mean, it's nice because it blurs out the background, but I'm but then did the actual part, is it focused? I'm not, I'm with you on that. I can't tell you.
So many things. And that's one thing that this year for Paper Talk, Sarah and I are going to break down our video recording equipment that we use to record the videos for the tutorials, and also how do we do some media's content that we put out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So we're going to share all of our equipment lists. So I think that's going to be super fun. because that's something I have evolved over the whole years I've been, Pink and Post videos, and Instagram and images has been such a big part of who we are, because most of our people that follow us is around the world. It's not just in person. And how do you create these beautiful curated products? One, you have to have good equipment, but then also I want to preface, use what you have first, understand it well enough that you're just like, okay, I'm ready to go to the next step. And I had fallen into this rabbit hole where I think the next great equipment is going to make my stuff even better. It's not. It's really about doing the work, doing the videos, doing the images, and then working with what you have before you do purchase the next one. But no one loves the new shiny object. I'm subject to that. But yes, my advice is understand what you have and then make it happen and work with it before you go and buy a new one. And if you do your due diligence and research, understand why you need that equipment. And if this new equipment's in your life, will you make it happen? Will you use it every day to justify the cost of investing in that equipment? Know the reason behind why you're buying things.
Yeah. And those kind of stuff is so intimidating for people that are not used to this stuff. So we're just like paper artists. And so when it comes to tech stuff, I'm like, I don't know what to get, but hopefully with the little knowledge that we did go through, like in a sense, we experimented with different types of cameras. We're no camera expert, but like I'm excited to talk about that stuff just because like I have, been doing this kind of stuff for a while and photographing my own and making videos and stuff like that. So I think that would be a good topic, hopefully in this new year, if you guys are interested in upping your game with Instagram and YouTube videos and whatnot. Especially like the new iPhone. I don't know if you got an update or if you updated your phone, but like the new iPhone is really nice.
I have the old one.
Yeah, the newest one.
I don't have the newest one yet, but I had purchased one like 2 years ago. So I feel like it's still up to date, but yes. The iPhone is a really like great camera.
And the reason why I upgrade when it does come out, usually on the most part, it's because I like the Apple products sell really well. I was able to resell my other phone and it was pretty, so that it was worth investing into a newer phone. And so I got the newest one. It's somewhat recent. And one of the upgrades is it stabilizes while you're doing your selfie or while you're doing your videos. And I think even like the Zoom video, the quality is better and it stabilizes even in the Zoom like thing. So like, I think the old one, if you zoomed, it would be like super shaky. I think that was like the difference. And it is overall just really nice.
I agree.
Nice feature.
Yeah. Most likely in the fall, I might upgrade to another one. I like to update every 2 or 3 years because I feel like technology's going in the battery life.
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't fixed it. Like the battery life should last longer than you think it should, but it never does. Yeah. But I also did save my other phone before I upgraded one. I have a backup phone. So what I do is I do time lapse. So when I'm doing setups or teaching or something like that, I actually have the camera on a stand that does a time lapse. And it's great because it just syncs up to your phone and love it. So what I'm hoping to do is I'll just keep that one as my time lapse. And then when I do upgrade, I'll keep the other one and then sell the older one or something like that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, but I am really excited for that episode in general, just because I do talking about, taking the right photos and and you're right. It's not about the newest equipment all the time, although that is really nice. I think just what you got, but like trying to find the right lighting, like you said. And I know Seattle's a little gray for me too, but it's a little gray, but and like cold colors, and I'm personally like, I do like more warm color. Like even when it comes to flowers, I like more of a warm color. And there is such thing, I think, like I've taken like a painting class and they had mentioned that, like that there is a cold red and a warm red or whatever. I don't know. And definitely in California, like the sun is warmer. So it has a warmer tone. I don't know. I feel like even just looking at us like through Zoom, like it does have a warm skin tone compared to colder skin tone.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. So we have fun guest line lined up for this year too. And then, gosh, I love how we're doing like every 2 weeks there's a podcast dropping. It just gives us a more breathing time. And I'm hoping season 6 will last pretty much most of this year before we take a break. Because I find like when we do take a break, it just helps us mentally and we're not just pumping things out, but it does give us breathing space, dropping 2 or 3 episodes once a month. Yep. All right. So this year we're changing up our questionnaire at the end of the podcast. So we're talking about food you like to make or eat right now.
Okay. A repeat meal at our house. We eat the Korean dish bibimbap.
Yes.
Everybody should know what that is. You have to do it in the stone pot. And it's kind of your typical Korean dish that most people should know. It's like kimchi and then the other dish is bibimbap. And it really is just like fried rice. It's like rice with a bunch of veggies.
Yes.
So it is somewhat healthy. And I do it pretty like a vegan style where I just do vegetables. And maybe I'll get an egg on there if I, feel up to it. But I really feel like the best part about it when I make it at home is I do it in that stone pot. And that makes the rice crispy on the bottom.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, it tastes fancier than it really is when you have that pot.
Yeah.
So I bought one and you can find it anywhere. And I'm sure you could make other dishes in there, but that's what we do. And we repeat it a lot just because it is somewhat healthy and it's fancier than it really is. But I will say, don't ever go to a Korean restaurant and order that just because it is a waste, of like a Korean dish. Like, come make it at home. You can't eat it at a restaurant. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's what we make at home a lot.
Oh, that's awesome. I would say the one thing that I'm making right now that it's on repeat. So we have a smart oven. It's called the Nova Smart Oven. So it has a steam function. You can sous vide in it. So I've been taking pork tenderloin. It's so cheap. It's like around $2 a pound. So we get those pork tenderloin from Costco. And then I just put a dry rub like early in the morning and I forget about it. And then a couple hours before dinner, I throw the pork tenderloin into the oven and it sous vides it to this tenderness. That's delicious.
Oh.
And then right now, I would say in January, there's no more chanterelle mushrooms, but in November and December, Costco was selling chanterelle mushroom for $13.99 a pound, which is amazing price. And they're my favorite mushroom. They almost have an apricot scent to it. And it's just really has great texture, delicious. And then what I've been doing is I've been roasting a butternut squash, which I dice, and then I caramelize some onion, and then I throw some apricot jam, a little bit of chicken bouillon, salt and pepper. I throw in a little bit of tomato paste, the chanterelles, and then the roasted butternut. And then it becomes this beautiful savory sauce that I serve with the pork tenderloin. And it's so good. It's just,
it sounds fancy.
It's so easy and so delicious. And it's just really it's savory, but I like savory and sweet together. And it just hits the right notes. And it's so,
I feel like you're a really fancy cook. I'm like, just throw some veggies on top of rice. And then you're like talking about sous vide. Wow. I wish I was your neighbor.
I wish you were too. We would have so much fun together. Yes, that's my favorite thing to make right now. And everyone that I've been serving it to has really enjoyed it. And I think they're surprised by how tender the pork tenderloin is. And it's just really, it's great. It's so easy and you forget about it. You just throw it in the oven and comes to temp and it holds it. All right, you guys, we want to wish you a happy new year. I hope January kicks off right for you. But don't worry, there's 11 more months to figure out what to do in 2024. We'll talk to you soon.